What do you say, everybody? 14 Guitars here. I'm on my way to Wambaw, driving up from Charleston today. It's a Saturday. Got a little time to relax, and was busy all week, and even had some customers on the phone late last night that had a problem remotely, but they solved it with a little advice. So I thought today I'd go take a ride. I didn't get up till 9 o'clock because I was up so late on the phone with customers. Anyway, I just passed Robbie and I think Justin. But Robbie I'd met earlier this year, and I forgot. I remembered his motorcycle. After we started talking, I remembered him, but only after I introduced myself. So, Robbie, my apologies for not remembering you. I've met so many people now over the few years of having YouTube videos. You know, I run into someone at the trailhead almost every time that has watched some of my videos, and we talk a little bit, which has been a lot of fun. It's been really good. And of course, all such good people. As you can see, I'm just about here. This is going to be a short intro. I'm going to ride. I haven't ridden in about a month. A lot of travel after I came back from Germany. And went to Oktoberfest, had a good time. I think I'll post a little 1-minute clip of Oktoberfest. It's just a blast. But anyway, gonna ride one time as a sight lap, just really check everything out, see how things are. If I'm up for it, I'll ride a second time a little faster. Usually I'm faster on the second set of all 5 laps. Ooh, a lot of people here today. Definitely not gonna be setting any records today for myself with all these people here. But what a nice day to get out. Man, everybody's out today. This is great. There are a ton of people out here today. So that's about it. That's the intro. I hope, I would say I hope you all are getting out and riding, but based on all the people here, a lot of you are for sure. So that's cool. That's great. And I'll let you know afterwards how the ride went. And then I'm going to visit my little sister and her cool husband and get a cup of coffee for the road, pick up a couple things I left there last time I visited. That's about it. God bless everybody. See you soon. Bye. What do you say, everybody? Beautiful Enoree, South Carolina. Saturday, November, first Saturday in November. And I've done 5 loops, all 5 loops already. Came back, got a little coffee, a little bit of applesauce. I'm gonna go and do all 5 loops again. Not a fast day, a fairly mellow day. Consider this a more of a conditions report. I've been up in Hatteras surfing for 8 days with some buddies of mine. Had a fantastic time. Ate some great food. We're using a new recorder here. Try to get some better audio. What I've done is I put a little microphone, a little Sony microphone, stereo microphone, inside my helmet. And then, oh, this got turned way up. I think I want this around 3.5. All right, so we're going to start to record now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's go to 4. Test 1, 2, 3. There we go. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, I might have accidentally hit the limiter or something. Let's see. Audio. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's see. Let's stop this. Test 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. I had this same setting earlier and it was recording with plenty of volume, so I don't know what's happening. And it's my first time. Let's try something else here. Let's turn it off. Testing 1, 2, 3. Stop the recording. Turn it off. recycle this thing. So anyway, I had a good ride. Lots of people were here. Sun's going down, so there's not as many people here now. This is the new new to me H1N Zoom handy recorder. Like I said, I got up here in my helmet, just behind this chin mounted GoPro, inside is a Sony stereo microphone. Testing 1 2 3. I don't know why, but for some reason the level is very low. So I'm going to try it right about here. Let's see, 80 hertz lockout, 120 off. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. 80 hertz lockout. That seems to be better. I might have got the microphone sensor a little wet. It almost seems like the limiter is on. Boy, this has got to be so boring. It's boring for me, and I'm here about to ride. All right, we'll try that. We'll just see what happens. We'll keep it at that level. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Yeah, don't know. Alrighty. So I'm riding with it in the pocket of my OGO riding vest. Gonna hit all, like I said, we're gonna hit all 5 loops, and fairly mellow ride, and then drive back to Charleston, 3 hours. I am gonna stop at my little sister's house and pick up a few things that I left there last time I visited, and get a cup of coffee from them for the road. Get home around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I've already got food at home. My wife is happened to be out of town, so my sister-in-law made some excellent corn chowder with venison sausage in it, and it is incredible. Woo! Yeah, I haven't ridden over a month, so I'm a little tired. I was surfing though, so I kept my cardio up. Let's just go for a ride. I'll try, I think this second time through, not talk too much and just enjoy the conditions, enjoy the ride. It's a beautiful fall day. Muscle memory gets weaker over time. My body remembered how to do it the second time. Bike feels good. Jump due to the scoop tire. It just makes the bike more rideable, you know, instead of the tire spinning a little little less critical on throttle control, so you don't have to be quite so precise to get good acceleration. So something where you might well, you can definitely feel it slide around that corner where it was dry. This paddle tire. You good? I don't like to cut the trails up, but I'm not sure whether the left side or the right side is the original trail there, so it doesn't bother me as much about which side I go on there. Why do I not like to cut the trails? Well, I like to balance myself from ride to ride as far as speed goes, and that means I got to take the same path each time to get a fair evaluation of how I did. It's part of the red loop now. All these nice red blades. So a mark like that on the side of a tree is called a blaze. B-L-A-Z-E, blaze. B-L-A-Z, echo. It comes from way, way back, probably back in Europe days. In the U.S., we say, and maybe other places in English, he's going to blaze a trail. Well, to blaze a trail, as far back, way back, before we were even a country, you had guys identifying trails to get across the known part and the unknown part of what would become the U.S. They would cut the bark on a tree like this, where that red is. They would cut the bark off, and it would create essentially a white blaze, and that's where the term blazing a trail comes from. Blaze is the word blaze, of course, can mean fire, like a blazing fire. But it's also a verb, to blaze a trail, to cut and mark a trail. Yep. So we're gonna do the secret trail this time. I won't go as fast here. I haven't been here in over a month. I haven't been here since they had all that work they had to do. So unlike where I was just at, where I just rode a minute ago, I'm not going to be so carefree on this part of the trail. This is really my sight lap. That is one of the nice, one of the benefits. If you can get the fitness to ride twice, a whole set of loops twice, or a particular loop more than one time, the first time through, you can familiarize yourself. You get a sight lap. Your brain records quite a bit of information. Actually, your brain and your body, your muscle memory. Muscle memory is a real thing, and it's not just in the brain. It's literally in your muscles and nerves of your body. And I might have just made that up, but I think it's true. So that the second time through, where there might be some turn that would come up, surprise you like that one, your body's already ready. Your brain remembers it subconsciously in many cases, even if you don't remember it consciously. So this is my first time on this trail in several months, and definitely the first time since the hurricanes came through. I have no idea what new hazards or if they made any changes, so I'm not going to hit it nearly as fast as a second loop, a second time on a loop that I've just ridden, because I don't want to get hurt. I like to ride way too much to get hurt these days. The one injury that kept me off the bike was my ACL. That was in the parking lot of my business. I had changed several things, and I had a stuck throttle at full throttle going up my driveway at my business. Leaned it over, my leg went underneath me, popped my ACL, injured my MCL, injured my ALL, etc. So I had it rebuilt in 2016, but ended up with really severe bone-on-bone arthritis. Put up with that for 4 years, and then got a new knee in 2020, a total knee replacement. It's been nothing short of a miracle for me. I don't have pain. It articulates just fine. I know it's there. It's not like you're not going to notice an artificial knee, but I don't walk with a limp like I did when I had bone-on-bone arthritis. I walked with a limp so much that it was affecting my hips and my back. And that's actually what got me to do the total knee replacement. Because while I could put up with pain, I didn't want to put up with degeneration of more joints, degeneration of healthy joints, because I was limping. So that kept me off the bike for exactly 90 days, and the first place I rode after those 90 days was Enoree. And I believe I've got a video called something like First Time Riding Enoree After Total Knee Replacement. And it was fantastic for the very first ride. I was a little nervous, of course, off the bike for 3 months, artificial knee, still working on flexibility, still at, there's still some pain at the 3-month mark, right? It takes almost a year, I think, really, to get rid of them, to get rid of almost every bit of pain, and just have some numbness and physical sensation that you've got a knee there, a fake knee there. So I was a little worried at 3 months that it might hurt, but I think if you watch that video, you'll see that it was absolutely no problem at all. I came back, I was born again with a new knee. You know, when I had that knee injury, and I limped for 4 straight years, I didn't realize that, psychologically, it had an effect on me. I was still doing everything I normally did. I was going out in the boat, I was water skiing, surfing, all of that, painfully. Then at my nephew's wedding, which I think was early 2020 before I had surgery, I had to take some tramadol just so that I could walk up there. I was in his wedding, so I was one of the groomsmen, without limping. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And so I got the surgery. I walked around with a walker. I think I used to walk in the first 3 days or so, and maybe then went to a cane for a total of 8 days, something like that. But on the 3rd day, my physical therapist said, walk to your wife without your walker. And when I walked without a limp for the first time in 4 years, even though there was a little bit of pain, when I got to her and hugged her, I burst into tears. All of that stress and worry, would I be limping the rest of my life? Would I be harming my other joints? All of that pent-up stress just came out all at once with a sense of relief that I really hadn't expected. And we just cried together because I felt like, what a miracle of modern medicine that I can now walk with a normal gait, with a completely normal gait. I had to put my hand go up there. I had to put my hood down because it's so bright with the sunset this time of day. But man, it was such an emotional experience So anybody who has an injury like that, you may not recognize that it is affecting you and adding stress to your life. So if you can get it repaired, it's very easy to say, I'm okay with it, it's no big deal. If you can get it repaired at low risk, high probability of success, you know, you might want to think about it. For me, it was a miracle. For me, it was the best thing I've done medically. I mean, other than saving my life a couple times in the past with certain things that happened. Best thing I ever did. I think the second best thing, even though it has as much impact, is when I got cataract surgery. I got cataract surgery, it's probably been 2 years now. I went to get LASIK because I was just tired of having poor vision. And I was getting worse close vision, but I also couldn't see that well at distance. I could wear my reading glasses, and my eyes had adapted to those reading glasses to the point where I could wear reading glasses and see at a distance, up close and at a distance. My body had adjusted to them in both directions. And I went out to one of the sea islands with my wife, and we were spotting animals. And I said, and she said, look, there's a beautiful doe, beautiful white-tailed deer in the distance here. I couldn't see it. And I was thinking about calling off my surgery. I was very nervous about it, my cataract surgery. But when she could see that deer and I could not, that was on a Sunday afternoon. And the surgery was Monday. And I said, that's it, I'm definitely going to go get the surgery. One of the best things I ever did. It was not painful. It was fast. Recovery was almost instant. What a kicker that was. Woo! Holy smokes. That might be a characteristic of this tire. Not sure. But that was a great. It was a great decision to make, for sure. Great outcome. Now we are lucky to have in Charleston Terry Solomon, one of the best cataract surgeons in the country. So I went to him. I was able to go to him. My Christian medical sharing plan covered a whole lot of it, even though I actually had to put that in my coverage. But just being on that plan allowed them to get a discount on the basic procedure, and I just paid a little extra for a little special, a little more capable lens than standard. So what is cataract? So cataract is where the lens in your eye becomes opaque over time as you get older. It'll turn yellowish green. It's still clear, but not as clear, right? So less and less light goes through it. It also scatters light, so you don't see as well at night, because not as much light is making it to your retina. Retina would actually transform light into an image at the back of your eye. But if the light can't pass through your eye to get to your retina, you can't see it. The first eye was done, and then on my right side, and the second one was done 2 weeks later. When I looked in the mirror and I held my hand over the eye that had been done, and then then I looked to see what that looked like. My left eye was still had cataracts in it. And then when I switched to put my hand in front of my left eye to see what my new lens was seeing, I was shocked. My brain had converted yellow and green to white before I had cataract surgery. So my lens was seeing yellow and green. Like if I looked at a white piece of paper, it had a yellow and green tint to it. But I know that white paper is supposed to be white, and my brain knew what white looked like. It actually changed my perception to see that slightly yellowish green paper as bright, clear white. And I didn't know it until I could go back and forth between the two eyes. That was amazing. That was an amazing and shocking experience. I knew that I was seeing things so clearly out of the new eye. I mean, I was amazed by how clear and beautiful everything was, but I didn't realize that I was seeing a much wider range of color, and I was seeing bright whites as well as all the actual colors. Once I had one good eye, my brain no longer could visualize that pale green as white. So I could very clearly see the difference. Something that was really interesting is I thought I had fairly green eyes, but with a good lens, my eyes are quite blue with a good bit of green and some brown or hazel. They're essentially hazel eyes, but they lean towards blue, whereas I thought they leaned deeply to the green side. And I was going to change on my license eye color, you know, from hazel to green. I thought, well, that's more accurate. But it was just a cataract. It made me. So since eyes aren't bright white, my brain wasn't able to convince myself that they weren't green. It wasn't able to compensate for the added green. And instead, my brain probably saw what they really looked like through those lenses. It looked greener. Take the lens out, the green tinted lens out, and suddenly I'm back to hazel eyes. So, alright, I'm going to turn my light on. Turn my light on since it's getting a little darker. Still have some traffic here. This is a two-way trail. I'll never not be nervous on a two-way trail. A little nervous compared to a one-way. You don't know what you'll do when someone comes at you at a high rate of speed, and you don't know what they'll do. And if you don't have experience, you're more likely to make a mistake. And I don't have much experience with two-way trails with people coming the other way. Thankfully, these trails and the few two-way trails at Wambaw, almost never you find someone coming your way. A lot of the two-way trails at Wambaw are the full width of these giant power lines. They're under the power line. So you got plenty of time to see somebody coming, plenty of room to stay out of the way. Here, there's a few more turns. Now we're back, when we went through the woods just then, we're back on the single trail. And I see they got the blazes up. This is cool. This is the first time I've really noticed the blazes. I don't know if they redid the blazes on trail number 1, the first trail. When I was talking about blazes earlier, I don't know if they redid those, because those are super bright. These seem a little more faded. So once again, we're going about 50%, 60% effort. We're probably doing 70 or 80% of my top speeds that I usually go through here. It's quite comfortable. I don't feel like I'm on the edge. And this way, I'll heal more quickly for the next ride. Try to get back into at least once a week and hopefully twice a week riding. Now that my schedule is back down, a little less travel, I've done my big trips.
know, when you first ride after a time off, there are definitely muscles that have not been stretched the way they'll stretch while you're riding at all since the last time you rode, or at least not to any significant degree. A lot of the soreness you have when you ride, and you haven't ridden in a while, a lot of that soreness comes from, dang, I have got to figure that out or I'm going to get hurt. Help me out, folks. You know how to go over those little tiny short jumps without kicking the rear end so bad? Maybe I'm supposed to ride a wheelie over that one? I just don't know. That one jump, that's twice I've been kicked in the rear end. I'm up on my pegs, but it's really hitting the rear end. A few years ago, I probably, would have crashed from that disruptive event. So we're just, right, it's funny, right when I say, oh, I'm not taxing myself, I'm not afraid I'm going to crash, maybe subconsciously I know I got to take it easy, because it seems to happen to me right before I've crashed in the past. On the dry stuff. In the sand, it's much better with this tire. MX14 Geomax, I think it is. Dunlop. In the sand, it's much better. And in the red dirt that's kind of dusty, got a little depth to it, it's good there too. Just the hard path. You can feel it on a corner, kind of sliding a little bit. A little more of a flat tracking feeling. Not uncomfortable. Just a little different. It's going to need some adjustments, in technique. I can feel a little bit of muscle fatigue. Remember I said when you run out of energy or you are fatigued, you run out of talent. So I probably should just take it a little easy. Had a little close calls there. Still got half the trail system to make it through here. I want to enjoy the ride. Feel good the next time I ride. I think I got to take this rear brake and lower the rear brake just a little bit. It needs to be more of a I think a lot of people tend to run the rear brake not only a little higher than they need, but a little higher than is safe. A little safer when it's lower, and you need to be more deliberate. That was fun. That felt good. Really concentrated on getting my balls of my feet on the pegs, toes pointed inward, heels down. Super grippy with the legs when you do that automatically. Not as much effort to grip the bike. Felt in control of the bike. What else is going on? Let's see. might be going out to Oregon to get my little sister, bring her out here for a little bit. She rides dirt bikes. Her husband was, I think, ranked 3rd in his age class in like some cross country series. I think he was in his 40s. And she's always had a bike. They got horses and everything. And get her out here for a little bit. Maybe get her on one of my bikes. I think she can ride my KX if I don't, if I just don't force her to do too much. Don't ride too fast for her, let her lead. And she's 55 years old, or 54 years old. I think she was born in 66. Does that make her 58? Maybe, yeah, 58. Man, she will always be my little baby sister. I mean, I just talked to her on the phone yesterday, and I just felt like I was talking to, you know, my little 8-year-old cool little sister. She's always been sweet. And, my favorite sister, I have a big sister. She hated me. She was firstborn and I was secondborn, and she would come lean into the crib and pull my ears until they bled. She hated me because she had the parents to herself for just under a year, 361 days apart. And so she wasn't my favorite. And as soon as I got old enough to beat her up and, you know, got her to leave me alone, my life changed for the better. But my little sister has always been cool. I've always, you know, had the desire to take care of her. She's always, you know, loved me as a big brother. Big brother's a wonderful, especially for your big brother's little girl. Great feeling, you know. You're strong and you protect her. Probably, I never did have my own children. Probably it's that times 10 if you have your own kids, I would guess. You know, just based on human instincts. Probably 10 times more feeling to protect than a brother and sister. But man, it sure made me feel good to take care of her, to protect her, to look out for her. I thought I heard a coyote for a second there. And hopefully it's not a person in the woods. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back in case it's I do have a light, so I'm fairly safe going back. Probably was just some kind of an animal. But I would hate to think I passed somebody who was in the woods. And needed help. Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Ooh, check that heart rate out. That thing is just brrr. Woo. That was what happens when you're yapping a lot. I'd say I would call it aerobic trail riding plus aerobic talking. I think it builds your cardio for sure. Well, I don't hear anybody, so I am gonna assume that they're okay, that there's not a person, that I just heard some kind of an animal or something in the distance. You know, sometimes the sound a truck makes or something in the distance, or heavy equipment might make a sound. Woo! All right. Definitely getting a workout for sure. Let's get that fitness built back up and get to where we can do this two or three times a week. back on. So this light here, it's got a little NiCad battery. The reason you have to have a battery, you don't have to, but the battery provides a load for the charging system when the light's not on. So every time, the whole time you're riding with the light off, you're charging your NiCad. Why NiCad instead of nickel metal hydride or the other chemicals, battery chemistry? NiCads can handle very high rates of charge and discharge. They're not picky. They can handle high and low temperatures. They're inexpensive. I think this is a little 12 volt, let's see, 12 cell, maybe it's a 10 cell NiCad. I bought on Amazon for like, 30 bucks or something. The other nice thing though is when the bike's not running, I still got 30 minutes. That tire just dig. Still got 30 minutes of light, so if my bike stalls or something like that, my light just doesn't disappear. I can pull up to an edge, turn my motor off, search with my handlebar light. Now I also have a light in my vest. I bring a light with me as well, a flashlight, because if you have any possibility of being out at night, you can't rely on one source. One source of light means that anything happens at all, you're stuck in the woods. Unless there's a bright moon, and even then it might be dangerous to try to ride in the dark. So, I got a nice little flashlight. We'll clip on the bill of my helmet. I can see good enough with it. But this light up front here works very well. It's like 3,000 or 4,000 lumens. Shoot. That's what I mean about the brake. It's a little high. That brake needs to be lower. Whew. Ugh. That light. Pretty bright. Bright enough that you can very comfortably ride these trails at night. And then, and then as it gets darker, night vision gets better and better, and the apparent brightness of that light increases more and more as your night vision adapts to the darkness. It's also got a nice beam shape where it goes right out front, but it also has very good side illumination. So the trail in front of you is lit up really well, and then a little bit on either side of the trail is lit up well. It's not as well, but still very well. And the link to this light, of course, is in the comments down below in the lower section of the video page. Right, when you click on the video, if you scroll down into the comments section, the full install, I mentioned this earlier, the full install directions are for this light are there. I did a write-up on thumpertalk.com, and all of the part numbers for everything I use are on there as well, along with pricing and options. If you just install a NiCad and this light bar, you can do it for under $100. I think you can do it for like 60 bucks, 70 bucks. Then all you gotta do is put a little charging connector for the NiCad and charge it after you ride, after you use the light. And it gives you a good, like I said, a good 45 minutes at fairly bright, and then another 10 or 15 minutes at not as bright. If you get two of those sets of NiCads, two 12 volts, you wire them up in parallel. You can look up how to do parallel wiring on batteries on YouTube. It's quite easy. Then you can have an hour and a half at least of light light for fully charged batteries. And for most people, that's enough. You're not going to need this charger. I put it there for things like charging if I was going to use some kind of a battery-operated motorcycle computer, bike computer or something. Of course, now the batteries are so good on those devices, you can use them for hours and hours without charging them. So really, it's not necessary. But for someone who likes convenience and doesn't feel like charging a battery, doesn't want to think about charging a battery, you get on the bike, it's charging as soon as you start the bike. It generates enough energy to give you a bright light, even if you start with a completely dead night cab. The battery can be completely dead, and you will power your light and charge your battery at the same time. Get enough voltage, and even running the light, charge your night light. Batteries are charged all, you know what it takes, how do you charge a battery? What happens when you charge a battery? It's real simple. All you're doing is you apply a voltage that is higher than the battery is generating. And essentially, it changes the flow of chemistry, the flow of electrons in the battery, and moves them back into storage. They store on plates, which are use specific chemicals to provide molecules where these electrons can attach themselves. Now, it may be you're actually performing a chemical reaction where molecules are created, and then when you use the battery, those molecules change. But essentially, it's the same thing. You're moving electrons back into the battery, putting them in reserve by having voltage that's higher than the output voltage of the battery. So as long as your battery, your charging voltage is above your battery voltage, whether when you're using it for your light or when it's not being used at all, in which case it will be higher, then some of that charge will charge up your battery. I can't remember, I think I measured, I think this charging system puts out 14.6, and then when I run the light, I think it drops down to 13.5, and that's more than enough to charge my NiCad, which might be dropped down to 11 or something. Get my NiCad back up to 13 volts. I think it'll go to a little higher than that when it's fully charged, but 13 is enough to have some reserve if I lost my charging for some reason. That's all it is. So that's all that's happening. If you know how to use a charging meter, or if your charger has a meter on it, you'll see when you first put your battery in, it'll give you the readout of the voltage on the battery. Then the charger turns on, and suddenly you'll see the battery voltage increase. I mean the voltage increase. Well, it's the voltage that's being put out by the charger, and that is moving energy into your battery. Whew. Definitely a little hand muscle fatigue today after not doing this for a while, and that goes right back to that stretching I talked about. I haven't exercised my hands like this with any of the work I do, even though I do some physical work in my office and warehouse. Nothing is taxing my hands the way this is, so I'm feeling some numbness and some fatigue in both hands. You can deal with that. Baby chick hands, we mentioned, someone else used that in some video I watched, so I'm trying to use that. I like that. Baby chick hands means hold the bars gently like you had a little baby chick in your hand. Use your knees to grip the bike. Use your hands just to turn the bars. You don't have to grip tightly to ride the bike. I mean, there are sections that you better hold on or you're not going to make it. But most of the time, you can have a fairly gentle grip on the bike. As long as your toes are in her down. I noticed I slowed way down. Now I'm trying to stop, check on that voice or whatever I thought was a voice. You get into a rhythm. You can get into a rhythm and you can get out of a rhythm. Once you're into the rhythm at a little speed, it's so much easier to stay in the rhythm. Once you stay there, then to get back to it, then something happens and slows you down. Good lean when that rear tire dropped into that hole. I used to blow this corner so often. Go straight over that hill, missed the turn. That cool climb. Bike's been so good. There's a song by John Denver called This Old Guitar. He talks about how that guitar, you know, gave him his girl, how he met his wife, introduced a lot of friends, made his living, made a friend to him. This dirt bike, I have guitars and I understand that song. I feel the same way. I love playing guitar with my wife. But this dirt bike, you substitute this old dirt bike for this old guitar. I think for a lot of us it would fit right in. Because very few things bring us as much joy. Very few hobbies, activities, just pure joy as riding the dirt bike. I mean, I love riding dirt bikes. I love it. I can't believe it's been so long since I rode. I have had a lot of things going on. I'm a creature that requires it. I'm a creature of habit. And like I said, when I get out of, just like when you get out of rhythm, it's hard to get back in rhythm. When I get out of a habit, it's hard for me to get back into that habit. So going to Germany, going to Cedar to surf. I did ride the week before I went to Parsons, thankfully. So it just takes a little bit for me to get back into a routine of even doing something I love. Working on the timing of it. Of course, when you've been traveling on vacation and you've got to run a whole business, I'm the general manager of this business, you know, you come home to a lot of work and that has to be taken care of at the expense of whatever else you're going to do because you've been playing for 8 days. So you sacrifice a little bit extra time when you come back in order to enjoy the extra playtime when you're away. I think that's corny. Of course, as a free man, I can care less what other people think. But people who do ride, I know some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. When I say my bike is my friend, this thing is my buddy, man. Take the place of literal people, friends. They're always more important. But I consider it one of my friends as well. Whew. We're lugging this thing, really, really lugging it way down. The way it's been modified and tuned, it lugs great. All right, let's go this way. All right, once again, we'll slow down just a little bit. A side lap. Ah, squirrel. After several months not being here, so we can't assume there are no trees on the road, on the trail. Other issues. So far, so good though. I think Chris and Stephanie did a great job. They also had some people working with them and the Forest Service working with them. So kudos to everybody who came out and cleared this trail for me, for all of us, and I do appreciate it. If I hadn't been working or playing in Hatteras, I would have been happy to come up. Next time I will do my best to make it. I will commit right now to next time this trail work, to get up here and contribute. I hope you will too. One thing I learned early on, through commitment comes love. I've talked about it before. Talked about, why should you get married? Marriage is a commitment. And for some reason, psychologically, once you commit to something, your bond with it grows stronger, right? You committed to a partnership or an arrangement. You buy a certain vehicle. Before you bought it, I like expeditions. I can sleep in the back. They're, they do what I need for my lifestyle. Walk all my stuff up back there, carry dirt bikes, tow my trailer. Once I bought an expedition, suddenly I really loved expeditions. And I have ever since. That's a commitment. So, I don't know where I was going with that. Making a commitment for marriage. Once I was married to my wife, by the way, October 6th, that was our 40th wedding anniversary. 40 years together. That was pretty darn cool. Something about that commitment, I'm committed to this person, it just grew my love for her. There's we say from love comes commitment, and other nations, especially like in India, where they fix you up, sometimes, depending on your culture, your parents might want to arrange the marriage, and of course you're a part of that process, but that arranged marriage, once you're committed, those people are often extremely happy. Why? They're committed to each other. So they're like, okay, we're in this. We're going to not only make the best of it, we're going to make it even better than it might be if we didn't have that commitment. Same thing I think with riding dirt bikes. You commit to keeping your bikes in good shape and going riding. You'll get more out of the hobby. You'll feel like putting more into the hobby. Is that what I mean? I know now, but I'm yapping about the trail. If you come and do some trail maintenance, you put something into it. You committed yourself to the trail system. You contributed. That contribution will definitely strengthen your affection with the trail. All right, folks. Well, that's all 5 loops twice. What a blast. What an incredible ride. Sun's starting to go down. Whew, time to go see my family in Chapin, and then head back home to Charleston and have some chowder. Some nice chowder with venison sausage. And I also put a couple of squirrels worth of squirrel meat in the chowder last night. It's been marinating in that chowder all night, so it should be fantastic. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the trails. I hope you get out and ride. Appreciate it. If you like my videos, please thumbs up and subscribe. Subscribing is the most important thing you can do to get my videos in front of other people. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.